Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 78th ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast. Brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the Revel Advertising Studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing great, Cameron. Today is an interesting day. It's a little bittersweet.
Yeah?
You know why?
Because we're moving.
We're moving.
Was that really the reason?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say it's great because I'm sitting in this nice chair.
Oh, yeah.
Reclining back. The sad part is we're moving.
Yeah. I've got great eye contact with the viewers right now, so that's always nice. And as they can see, we're surrounded by boxes. We're in a new environment because, yeah, we're going to have a new home. Revel Advertising is going to have a new home, so the Revel Advertising Studio is going to be just a few miles across town. Not even a few miles.
Less than a mile.
Less than a mile across town.
A few blocks, you might say.
So you guys are moving tomorrow, so
Yeah.
we are quite literally the last people that will ever use this space for Revel Advertising.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we should probably find a nice spot to carve our names into the wall
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
and put our handprints in the wet cement. And then that'll be it.
I feel like I'm on... I feel like I'm in like a I Spy book.
Okay.
There's just like a lot of junk. There's a lot of junk in here. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
it's not junk because it's your belongings, but it kind of just feels like it right now.
Yeah. There's a purple ram's head that I kind of wanted to incorporate into the shot.
Yeah,
but-
we did get this trophy in.
Oh, yeah. Very nice trophy. It's basketball on top. Beautiful. It's fitting because this is the Missouri Sports Podcast where we talk about Mizzou football and basketball. We've been talking about our surroundings, so if you want to see that and take it all in for yourself, you have to go over to YouTube and you can watch along and see what we look like if you haven't done that yet. And you can subscribe to us on YouTube. That would be very helpful. Kyle, we've got a lot of basketball to talk about. We've got some news to talk about. You want to talk about Josh Christopher? Josh Christopher is the at the top of the hour breaking news story.
Yeah, breaking news. As of like a few days ago, he's going to announce his college decision. So Missouri recently made his top 4. The other schools are Michigan, UCLA, Arizona State. Is that correct? Is there another one?
Yeah, no, that's it.
Okay, that's it.
I think.
How are you feeling about this, Cameron?
About just like his recruitment in general and making a decision. I don't feel good about it.
Okay.
I think he's going to go to Michigan. And we should mention, though, that it's come out recently that he's going to make a decision on April 13th. Now, the way we came about that information was a Twitter account that does edits for prospects tweeted that they saw on Josh Christopher's Instagram Live that he said he was going to announce, that he thought he might announce on April 13th.
So very unofficial information.
Yes, about as unofficial as you can get.
That's Tipton Edits that made
Yes.
that statement.
Yes,
Okay.
it is. That's probably going to happen. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of, honestly, like April seems like a long ways off now.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping we might get something more in like the next couple weeks. But everything that I've been reading, everybody that I can listen to that might have any idea what's going on thinks it's going to be Michigan. I was just reading an article, kind of a Q&A with Corey Evans of Rivals, and he thinks it's Michigan. He thinks Michigan is easily the team in the lead, and he think basically all the like crystal balls and things like that are all pointing towards Michigan at this point. So it doesn't look great for Missouri, but I don't know.
Yeah, I hope that. I mean, as fans, I think we've been prepared for this news for a long time. Obviously, we're hopeful, but I think that in reality, we knew that he would probably not end up going to Missouri. Hopefully Conzo Martin and staff has planned accordingly and has some contingency plans lined up Obviously, with Missouri basketball, we don't really have a great look into that process a lot of the time, so I don't really know what Plan B or C is, but hopefully they know what they're doing.
Well, we are due for a late signee that ends up transferring after playing like 2 games or 0 in a Missouri uniform, so we could be in line for that. You know,
Are you projecting anyone in particular there? Or?
No, just
a general.
Just
it usually happens.
Yeah, you miss on Josh Christopher, so you just fill the spot with somebody that's signing late, and it's a quick marriage, and it just doesn't work out. I mean, we saw that with Christian Guess and
McKinney.
Well, that was more of a traditional timeline of everything. There was somebody else that was a late signee. No, maybe not. I don't know. But Christian Guess is kind of the thing I was thinking of, like a guy that just kind of comes out of nowhere and fills a spot, and then it never. You kind of assume it's probably not going to work out. Yeah. It'll be really disappointing if Josh Christopher does announce that he's going to Michigan, for that to be like the third strike as far as he, Caleb Love, and Cam Fletcher are concerned. I don't know. That'll be just a really disappointing ending to what, like a year and a half ago looked like maybe a really promising recruiting class. But yeah, I think you're right that in general the fans have kind of are kind of at peace with the fact that he's probably not going to end up at Mizzou. And if we were still waiting on if it was a completely different timeline and Caleb Love and Cam Fletcher hadn't announced anything, I think there would be more hope. But because we've seen so many of these high caliber guys go elsewhere, it's just like, what would make this one any different?
Yeah, we're used to it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Josh Christopher is an elite scorer, which would be great for the Missouri Tigers. But he's gonna be amazing wherever he goes. I'm sure he's probably gonna start from day one potentially, no matter where he goes. So, best of luck to him if he goes somewhere else. I know we're kind of writing him off at this point, but you never know what can happen in recruiting, especially a guy that's gonna announce 2 months from now or whatever it is. So I guess you never know, but. Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's going to go to Michigan.
Well, the good news is Mizzou basketball sent out some new scholarship offers for future prospects. Those include 2 2022 players, a wing named Demarion Watson-Salisbury, and a guard named Braden Carrington. They both play in Minneapolis. There is a Minneapolis academy called Minnehaha that also has Chet Holmgren and Jalen Suggs on their team. I know Holmgren had a Mizzou offer. I believe Jalen Suggs did as well. And then a 2021 guard, Hersey Miller, who also plays for Minnehaha, and he is, coincidentally enough, the son of a rapper, Master P. Now, Kyle, you and I are a little bit young to be well versed on some of the OG rappers in the game, but Master P was kind of one of the like on the forefront of rap, and so that's kind of interesting. His son is looking to play D1 basketball.
Yeah, that is cool. I would like to know what Missouri's staff's fascination is with this team. I mean they've put out like, I could probably count on 2 hands how many offers they've put out in the last like year, and they've just randomly offered like this whole team in like Minnesota. Yeah, like I guess you just really like this team or something, but it's kind of random.
I do think though, maybe put Minnehaha on your radar for a potential Bass Pro Tournament of Champions team next year. Chet Holmgren's the number 2 player in the country, and there will be regional interest because of Mizzou offers, some more notoriety because of the Master P connection. So I think maybe put them on your short list of. I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction that they will be in the Bass Pro Tournament of Champions 2021.
That would be awesome. And we should be finding that out in the next few months, I would think, right?
Yeah, they usually announce the teams in April. So, yeah.
All kinds of announcements happening in April.
Oh, yeah. Let's see here. Eric Bossi of Rivals also reported that Mizzou has been very active in recruiting 2022 five-star forward Mark Mitchell. He's from Kansas, and the tweet was basically that Kansas and Missouri have been very active in his recruitment.
Yeah, so it looks like the staff is definitely trying to hit 2022 pretty hard, going after some pretty high-profile guys. Chet Holmgren and Jalen Suggs, are those guys 2022, or are they 21?
Holmgren's 21.
Okay.
Jalen Suggs is 2020. He's going to Gonzaga.
Gotcha. So yeah, kind of getting in on these guys early. Hopefully we can kind of lay the groundwork and be there in the long run.
Yeah, it's so early to really be talking about 2022, but
right. A 5-star from Kansas. I mean, seems unlikely.
Those don't usually leave the state.
Exactly.
Yeah. But there's some names for folks to keep an eye on and keep track of since 2020 is like Josh Christopher. That's the only name out there to pay attention to. The recruiting cycle's almost over. So
pretty much, yeah.
Yep, looking ahead. In football news, the NFL Combine is underway, and one interesting result from that is Albert O had an unofficial 4.49 40-yard dash, and that was kind of blowing everybody away on Twitter today.
Yeah, that is remarkable. I mean, when you think about a 4.4 40, I mean that
4.49.
True.
Very close to 5.
True, but that's still that would be like an acceptable time for like a skill position, like a wide receiver or a running back. I mean, that might be like a little on the slow side potentially, but that's really impressive.
Yeah, it's 6'5", like almost 250, 260.
Yeah. I think I saw that was like a top 5 tight end 40 times since like 2003 or something like that. So, yeah, that's super impressive. Anything Albert O does athletically in the combine is not going to surprise me. It will still impress me, but it will not surprise me because he is a freak. Yeah. And whatever NFL team ends up with him, if they can really max out his potential, that it's going to be incredible to see what he could potentially do.
Yeah, you see a lot of teams kind of going with 2 tight ends that they use pretty regularly. One more of a blocking tight end, one more of a receiving tight end. And I think about unfortunately, I think about the New England Patriots and just how they are able to take advantage of the unique skills of any tight end that walks through the door there and pair them up with maybe a complementary tight end. They can take 2 guys that maybe aren't either one the best, but just use their specific skill set to maximize their value. Mm-hmm. And there's other teams in the league that can do that as well, but it seems like that's been a kind of a trendy thing in the last few years is to have 2 tight ends, one that's more of a receiver and one that's more of a blocker. Yeah,
and I think Albert O fits the way that the league is trending as far as like the body type for those kind of receiving tight ends. I mean, you think of obviously like a poor man's Travis Kelce. I mean, a guy who's just basically a big wide receiver who can run well and can get out there and in space and make plays. And obviously Albert O, we know he can do that. He's going to have to work on, consistently making tough catches and stuff like that on just like a random 3rd and 8 kind of play instead of just catching like easy wide open touchdown, because he did a lot of that at Missouri. That's certainly a viable criticism of his play at Missouri, but obviously he's a super young guy and has a lot of time to develop, and so amazing things can happen with guys once they get in an NFL program.
I think that's all I have for news.
Just another quick note on the combine. I saw Kelly Bryant, at least unofficially, I believe, ran a 4.69 40, which is decent for a quarterback. I honestly was kind of surprised to see Kelly Bryant at the combine. I don't know that he's going to get drafted, but of course, again, you never know. I think I saw Yasir Durant had 21 bench press reps, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So, looks like so far, Mizzou guys, incredibly early, but it looks like Mizzou guys are doing pretty good job representing so far.
How many of them I think we'll kind of break it down a little bit more after the combine's over, but how many do you think get drafted at this point?
Well, there's 6 of them at the combine, which is actually a pretty high number for really any school, especially Missouri. But I would say probably 3 of them for sure get drafted, and that's Alberto, Jordan Elliott, and Yasir Durant. I think for sure those 3 guys get drafted. Tristan Colon Castillo, maybe. I think he's probably the 4th guy on that list. But
I would maybe nudge Cale Garrett ahead of him a little bit.
Yeah.
And I just don't think Tristan Colon Castillo is going to do himself any favors in the drills and stuff at the combine.
We did talk about this a little bit before we started recording, but I think you mentioned he had 11 bench press. Yeah, that's really not very good for an offensive lineman. But there's a ton of drills they do, and there's so much more than just the bench press. But that's the first data point, and that's pretty underwhelming for an offensive lineman. So hopefully he can get that turned around a little bit.
Now, is that all we have for news?
I think that's it.
All right, so then let's talk about basketball. Missouri could not continue their winning ways on the road against Arkansas. Missouri lost that one by 10, 78-68. It was a lot closer than the final score indicated. We'll just go through it a little bit, and then we'll kind of react to it. Kobe Brown had 7 early points, and Torrance Watson hit a 3, and Missouri jumped out to a 24-11 lead. Missouri's offense looked amazing, and the game had an incredible flow to it. Missouri was kind of doing whatever they wanted, and remarkably, there were no fouls called for I think it was the first 13 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah, it was something ridiculous.
There were no fouls, and that definitely benefited Missouri. The refs weren't calling anything, and also the teams were just not fouling. It wasn't like the refs were missing a bunch of contact. It was just the teams were not really fouling.
Yeah, that game happened right after we saw several things come out on Twitter where people
we talked about it on last week's episode.
We're publicly coming out and just talking about how many fouls are being called across the league.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe teams in the SEC just play scrappier defense and they just foul more. I don't know what it is, but the SEC was far beyond any other Power 5 league as far as the amount of fouls being called. And so right after some of this stuff starts coming out, of course we have this game where there isn't a foul called for the first literally 10 minutes of the game. Yeah. So I don't know if that was just a coincidence or if the refs were all right, maybe we should try to
I feel like that
keep this in check.
I feel like that kind of held true in the Vanderbilt game to some extent as well. Maybe not quite as extreme with the first 10 minutes, but it didn't seem like as many fouls called in the Vanderbilt game either. So after Missouri jumped out to that big lead, Arkansas just completely dominated the next 15 minutes of the game. They outscored Missouri by 20 in that span to take a 43-36 lead early in the second half. And then pretty much from there on out, Missouri was down by 4 to 6 points right up until the final few minutes. But then Arkansas was able to stretch the lead out to about 10, and that's what the final score ended up being. Missouri, every time they would make a play to kind of make it manageable and look like they needed to string a few plays together, and they never could, and Arkansas just was hitting shots down the stretch.
Having Isaiah Joe back was huge for them.
Yeah, Isaiah Joe was 5 of 10 from 3. Arkansas as a team was 12 of 25. And Missouri couldn't really hit anything, and they just couldn't keep up.
Yeah, that was definitely looked more like the Arkansas team from earlier on in the year. They were really, really good in the non-conference and kind of the first half of conference play. And when Isaiah Joe went down, they obviously went on a pretty big losing streak. But so having him back was apparently huge for them, and the crowd was super excited to have him back as well. Understandably so. But I don't know. I thought Arkansas was going to be better this year, or better in in conference play than they've been. But a lot of that just has to do with the fact that he's been out for a while. Yeah,
5-game losing streak while he was out.
Mm-hmm.
They won games on either side of that. They have 9 losses in conference. 5 of those were when he was out.
Mm-hmm. And I think the game in Columbia against Mizzou was the first?
Second game, I believe.
Okay.
In that losing streak.
Because I remember being like shocked when when Missouri pulled that off. So that was definitely a different, both Missouri and Arkansas, but just different teams at that point in the season.
Yeah, I mean, if you take away Isaiah Joe's shooting from this game, Arkansas's offensive performance is basically the same as when they lost to Missouri in Columbia. And Missouri's offensive performance is about the same. They were not good. Missouri as a team shot 57% from 2, which is fine. 80% from the free throw line, which is amazing. But 4 for 21 from the three-point line. That's 19%.
I still felt like they did a pretty good job, like attacking the basket, like they had kind of been doing in the last few games. Obviously, that was a change that we saw for the positive, starting a few games ago. And I still felt like they maintained that, even though they lost. But obviously, Xavier Pinson did a good job, kind of distributing and getting the ball inside, and just making a concerted effort to attack.
Yeah, Pinson and Drew Smith were combined 1 of 10 from 3. So that's not very good. Kobe Brown was the high scorer for Missouri with 17 points, and he also had his first ever double-double with 10 rebounds. He was 2 for 6 from 3. Everybody else was 2 for 15.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really good in that game. I feel like maybe not a lot, but I feel like several games have started with a Kobe Brown 3, which I think is kind of interesting. I don't know why that is, but maybe he's just open at the beginning of games for whatever reason. But he started that game with a 3 as well.
Drew Smith and Xavier Pinson both finished with 15 points. X had 7 assists, but also 5 turnovers. As a team, Missouri did okay turnover-wise, but Xavier with 5 of the team's 13 turnovers. He also pitched in with 6 rebounds. The rebounding was fantastic for Missouri. They out-rebounded Arkansas 36-23. So nothing was wrong there. It was just, 4 3-point makes versus 12. That was basically the game here. Because Arkansas shot 80% from the free throw line as well. Actually, the teams were an identical 16 for 20. Just that's what happens when shots don't fall.
Exactly.
And if Missouri, Pinson 1 for 8 from 3. He shot more threes than twos, so that's not in line with what he had been doing. That had been allowing Missouri to be successful and win a few games. For Arkansas, Jimmy Witt found his normal success in the mid-range.
Making everything.
Yeah, there's like one guy in the SEC that you don't want shooting mid-range twos, and it's Jimmy Witt, and he did it all night. And then, of course, you have to have your random, career performance shooting threes from Desi Sills. He had 17 points and 4 made threes, and he's shooting like 28% on the season or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Arkansas jumped Missouri in the standings after that win, or did they tie them?
So I'm seeing mixed results on that. On the what I've heard is that technically Missouri still holds on to the 10 spot because they are tied, and Missouri has a tiebreaker over them by beating Auburn. However, on the SEC website, their official standings show Arkansas in the 10 spot and Missouri in the 11. So maybe they don't factor in tiebreakers until the end of the season or something, but I don't know. I don't think you're going to have to worry about a tiebreaker with Arkansas because their 3 remaining games are at Georgia, home against LSU, and at Texas A&M. I think there's a decent chance they win all 3 of those.
Mm. They beat Tennessee handily a couple nights ago. Maybe that was last night. So they seem to be kind of back in the swing of things with getting Isaiah Joe back. I think they beat Tennessee by like 15 or 20.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that looked pretty good for them. I don't know. It's going to be tough. I think there's a very good chance Missouri stays at that 11 spot in conference, which honestly may be Missouri's best chance to win 2 games in the SEC tournament for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, all things considered, if you told me like a month ago they were going to get the 11 seed, I'd probably be totally happy with that, to be honest.
Yeah. I'll always go back to those back-to-back games against South Carolina and Texas A&M where I honestly thought they might not win another game.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if you're not elite, if you're not even that good, you're going to have a stretch where it makes the fans question whether you'll ever win another game. Yeah, and if they have a first-round matchup against Vanderbilt and then play Tennessee or Arkansas in the second round, I think, or even Alabama, that wouldn't be the end of the world.
Yeah.
You ready to move on to Vanderbilt?
I'm ready.
So this was maybe one of the worst wins to watch that I can remember from Missouri basketball. It was just, well, we'll get into it and I'll explain my grievances with this game in particular. Missouri did win the game 61-52. Missouri was just better. They're just better than Vanderbilt. But because they struggle so much on offense, they just let Vanderbilt hang around for pretty much the entire game. There was a moment in the first half where Vanderbilt was on a 13-2 run and they took a 9-point lead. And it was maybe the most frustrated I've been watching Mizzou basketball all season because the offense just completely stagnated. Well, first of all, I'm having to watch that horrendous excuse for a gymnasium.
You really hate that gym.
I do. Whose idea was this? They were like, okay, how do you want to lay this out? All right, let's try to make it look like, is there any way we can make it look like from the TV cameras, the only people in the gym are the 10 players on the court, the refs, and the 2 head coaches? They're like, yeah, I think we can do that. Just move everybody out, away from the cameras. Move the benches to the baselines. What about like the scorers table and stuff? Nope, move those guys back. We don't want them to be on screen. What about like courtside? No courtside. Just move everybody back.
It makes it feel so like empty and distant. And let's just make like a 3-foot platform with this.
Oh, but you can't see the cheerleaders. The cheerleaders sit along the sideline.
Okay.
Over there. So.
Well, I was watching Missouri State play at Valparaiso a few nights ago. And you want to complain about Vanderbilt's gym? Valparaiso looks like they're playing at Kickapoo High School. It is awful. I mean, like, it looks like the gym was built in probably like 1920, and it probably seats like 3,000 or 4,000, and every single seat in there is like a wooden like bleacher. Like, I'm not even joking. I think that there's like high school gyms in Springfield that are probably as big or bigger.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Like Vanderbilt, their stadium looks like a palace comparatively to Valparaiso.
I don't know. At least Valpo has seats near the floor that you can see.
Oh, they've got 5,000 of them close to the floor. It's just ugly.
Yeah, that's not the best. Back to Vanderbilt, though. Thankfully, Missouri was able to go on a few runs of their own. They had 2 separate 11-1 runs. They took a 9-point lead of their own with about 14 minutes left in the game. And even though nothing really looked that good, it was just like, okay, Missouri is better than this team. Now that they have a lead, I'm still kind of mad about how this game is going. But another thing that really frustrated me was the officiating was bad for both teams. It was wildly inconsistent. They couldn't figure out how they were calling charges and blocks. There was one play in particular where Xavier Pinson tried to take a charge and just completely whiffed, and the guy barely grazed his shoulder on the way up, but Pinson fell down, and then they called a blocking foul when there was barely any contact. And I think if Pinson just doesn't fall down, then they don't call anything because he made it look like there was contact. And then some of the charges that even went in Missouri's favor, I was like, seriously, why are we rewarding the defender for just kind of like getting in their way and falling down? I mean, that's how I kind of feel about charges in general, but
yeah,
there were a couple in this game that went Missouri's way that I was still just like, What is going on right now?
I don't remember what the call was, but I definitely remember thinking that at one point in time in the game where I was like, Missouri got the call.
Yeah, it's
and
like, okay, I'll take it.
That was an awful call.
Yeah.
That was wrong. Yeah, but we'll take it.
Yeah. Vanderbilt, I mean, Missouri never really could put Vanderbilt away, and part of it was because they were just throwing the ball away themselves. Like at the end of the game when Vanderbilt was pressing, Missouri just kind of, I don't know, there was another, that was one of the foul calls where they called a foul when Drew Smith was double teamed, and there just wasn't much there, but they got bailed out with a foul call, and the broadcasters liked it, but I didn't really think there was much there.
Do you remember the and one call in the second half where the guy dunked it? The Vanderbilt player dunked, and who'd they call a foul on? Parker Brown, I think, and he didn't even touch him at all.
Yeah.
It might not have been Parker.
Yeah,
Brown.
I think it may have been Mitchell Smith.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because his hand comes across, but there was no contact
Literally
at all.
whiffs.
Yeah.
And they call a foul.
Yeah.
It's like you don't even see a foul called. You just this is just a play in your mind that you envision a foul happens here.
You don't see it. You don't hear it.
Yeah. But you call it anyway because it just that looks like a play in which a foul normally happens.
And I've said it before. I'm probably a broken record at this point, but I don't necessarily blame the individual refs. I think that their job is just they're just not good enough. Their job is too difficult for them to do correctly often enough for us not to be frustrated.
Yeah.
Missouri was able to hit free throws at least, so they kind of iced it. Even though they tried to throw the game away a couple times by throwing the ball out of bounds, or nearly throwing it out of bounds, they did hit enough free throws to seal the deal. And Vanderbilt really helped out the Tigers by just shooting terribly from the field.
Cam, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Did you know? And you'd have no way to know this, but I'll ask you anyway. Did you know that Scottie Pippen's son plays for Vanderbilt?
Now, was that the guy, Scottie Pippen? Was that the guy that they had picture in picture during the game? For about 75% of the game?
I think they showed him maybe 45 times or so.
That makes sense now. I was wondering, who is this guy? Why are they cutting to him, every other play?
Yeah, that's his son. That's his dad.
Wow.
Played in the NBA, played for the Bulls.
Well, are you talking about Scott Pippen on Vanderbilt?
No, absolutely not.
Well, I think he doesn't mind if you call him Scott.
Oh, really?
Because if he cared, then he'd spell his name with an I-E.
True. Just
to make sure that nobody called him Scott.
Oh.
But he does the Y.
So that's why he does that.
Yeah, so I think it's okay to call him Scott Pippen.
Okay, well, I'll remember that next time I see him.
All right. But yeah, one of the reasons they kept cutting to Scott E was because Scott D Jr. could not make free throws. He was 5 for 11, and at one point had missed 7 in a row.
I don't know why they kept cutting to Scottie Pippen because he looked so bored.
I mean,
he
Vanderbilt
looked miserable.
Has won one SEC game this year, so
true.
Yeah. But Vanderbilt's terrible shooting basically allowed Missouri to win this game. Missouri didn't do anything offensively on their own to capture this victory. Vanderbilt just couldn't do enough to even have a shot. Vanderbilt copied Missouri's stat from the Arkansas game, and Vanderbilt made 4 out of 21 three-pointers. Nice. Good for 19%.
It's probably that gym. Terrible depth perception.
Could be. But Vanderbilt also shot 55% from the free throw line, which is just horrendous.
Yeah, Vanderbilt is really, really bad.
Yeah. They were actually getting open shots. I don't think Missouri's defense was necessarily contributing to the dreadful shooting from three-point range, because they were moving the ball and finding open guys and then just clanking them. Clanking them. Scottie Pippen Jr. did have 19 points despite the terrible free throw shooting. I don't know if you noticed this, but Mark Smith and Jeremiah Tillman were both in the game, I think even at one point at the same time. But Tillman only played 9 minutes and Mark Smith played 14.
Yeah.
So they're kind of easing them back in. They didn't do too terribly much. Tillman had a dunk. Mark Smith made a 3, that was wonderful to see. Tillman had a huge two-handed block
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. Other than that, they didn't really do a whole lot.
After watching, which granted, Reed Nico has played really, really well the last month or so. But after
I think he was Kimpom MVP in this game.
Really, after watching him play a majority of minutes at the post, and then going back to watching Jeremiah Tillman play, he's just so explosive and athletic, and I don't know, he's just so fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be so nice if he was healthy and could really just get it figured out next year. Maybe if he's returning next year, that would be great. Because he's just incredible athlete.
You're talking about Reed Nico. He had 14 points.
And, Reed Nico comes back next year.
Yeah, Reed Nico had 14 points. He was perfect. He had a perfect game. 5 for 5 from the field, 4 for 4 from the free throw line. I wouldn't mind seeing Jeremiah Tillman do that next year.
How many fouls did Tillman have?
1 in 9 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
He's really turned a corner.
Yeah. Just scale that up to, 30 minutes and, everything's great. Anything else specifically about this Vanderbilt game?
Not really. I mean, this game is pretty forgettable. It's good to see Missouri win a conference game on the road, but Vanderbilt's so awful, and that gym's so awful that I can't bear to talk about it one more moment.
Okay. Well, Missouri is now 14-14 on the season, 6-9 in conference play. They are 104th in KenPom. Please let us just finish in the top 100.
Yeah.
144th on offense, 83rd on defense. So improving modestly there. In SEC play, they're 12th in offensive efficiency and 11th in defensive efficiency, which adds up to an 11th place in the standings.
Do you think that their defensive ratings going down in conference play have anything to do with the fact that, like, Xavier Penton's been playing more minutes and Mark Smith hasn't been playing as much in the last month or so?
I would like to think so. However, Mark Smith played in 8 SEC. He played in the first 8 SEC games, and Missouri's defensive rating was just plummeting.
Yeah. I
Ever
think
since the beginning
we
of
were
conference
having that conversation while Mark was still playing. Yeah.
And he was playing, 30 minutes a game that entire time.
We'll never know.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is there.
I should stop trying to crack the code because I'll never find out.
Tillman not being out there obviously hurts as well, but he started conference season just like Mark did. Yeah, not too long ago though they were triple digits in defensive efficiency as well. So, but also
That's
at the beginning of the
crazy.
season they were top 20.
Yeah.
Next up, Missouri plays at home against Mississippi State, and I should be going to this game, but I got robbed.
You got hosed, man.
Of 2 free tickets plus 2 Mizzou hats that if justice had been served, we'd be wearing them right now.
They would have already delivered them to you. Like rush delivery. Did that happen like yesterday, didn't it?
I don't even remember. I think it was like, either Tuesday or Wednesday.
We'll tell the folks what happened.
All right, I'll tell them. There was a trivia giveaway contest that Mizzou Hoops Twitter account. I just happened to be looking at my phone right when this posted. They said, which former Tiger is averaging about 21 points and 10 rebounds in Japan? And the viewers, Kyle, producer Cameron, I swear to you, I did not look this up because I told myself, this is a rare opportunity. This goes through my head in a split second, I think. I was sitting here on Twitter right when this was posted. I do not have time to go to Google and then put my guess in. Somebody will beat me to it. So I go with my gut and I go Leo Lyons ? Because I wasn't sure.
You did put a question mark.
I did not look it up. I was not sure. This was a guess, an educated guess, but a guess. Right after I posted, I do go to Google just to confirm because I thought, well, if I'm wrong, maybe I'll just put another tweet out there with the correct answer. But I was correct. And then and I looked and I was like, okay, I'm first.
You were the first one.
And then here come the flood of answers. These people can copy my answer if they like. They can Google it, have all the time in the world. They can find themselves a nice picture of Leo to post along with their answer.
But there's nothing they can do to change the fact that you were first.
Correct. However, in the details of the tweet, it says they will choose a winner amongst the replies. They don't say anywhere that, first one with the correct answer will win. They don't even say that you have to have the answer correct to win. They say they will choose a winner from the comments. So when I reread the tweet, I realized being first probably didn't do anything for me. I'll probably never be first with the correct answer for another trivia event in my life. This was it, and I got robbed. I didn't know which one of you I was going to take, so that kind of saved me from some awkwardness there.
True. That would have been devastating potentially to this podcast. So now you're going to have to watch this game on TV, huh?
Yep, like the commoners do. I was ready to fill the arena and be loud and chant MIZ, but
yeah, that's a missed opportunity for Mizzou basketball.
Yeah,
he's not happy there.
Yeah, if they knew what they were doing, they would have me in that arena every game. Why? I don't know.
Leo Lions, huh?
Yeah.
You just thought of that off the top of your head?
Yes.
That's kind of impressive.
Did you said
I thought maybe Ricardo Ratliff.
Okay, so that was in the split second that I had to decide on who I was going to go with, those were the two that were in my head. And I honestly remembered something about Ratliff and South Korea. I didn't actually ever go back and look at why I associated those together. I think he's actually lived there for a while or something.
Yeah, apparently he's doing amazing basketball wise too.
Yeah, but Leo Lions. And I mean,
I didn't even know he was still playing basketball. Honestly,
yeah.
I haven't heard of him
He's
in a while.
He's kind of right there in his prime, 32 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he was. I guess I probably I've done the research for the Mizzou basketball where are they now things, and so I'm always looking at these weird, overseas teams and knowing which Mizzou basketball players play in what random country. So I think at one point I must have looked him up, even though we don't usually go back that far in our Where Are They Now segment.
If we went back that far, it would be really hard for me because I just don't know those players as well as I do probably the last 5 years.
Well, we won't be there, but Missouri's going to play Mississippi State back home in Columbia. Mississippi State is 18-10, 9-6 in conference, number 52 in KenPom, 19th on offense, 128th on defense. In SEC play, they are 4th on offense, 10th on defense. And if you remember, Missouri lost at Mississippi State 72-45.
That was probably the worst. In my opinion, that might have been the worst Mizzou game of this whole season.
Yeah,
that was awful.
Yeah, that's up there with the...
I don't even think I watched the whole game.
Yeah, that's up there with both the Texas A&M games. That was back on January 14th. That was one of the lowest possession games Missouri's played this year. Mississippi State is also pretty slow. They do not look to push the pace. Maybe that's something that Missouri can try to do in this game since they'll be at home to maybe try to find some kind of advantage. Reggie Perry, if you don't know about him, he has been the KenPom MVP in 8 of Mississippi State's last 17 games. They only have 2 wins in that stretch where he was not KenPom MVP.
He destroyed us last time we played him, that's for sure.
Yeah. Kyle, when you look at all the players in the SEC, in the Southeastern Conference, Reggie Perry is top 20 in nearly every single advanced metric that KenPom tracks, including he's top 20 in 2-point field goals, free throw percentage, and 3-point percentage.
Wow. I would never have guessed that.
Yeah. That's in conference play. He's shooting 34% from 3, good for 20th in the league. He's top 20 in minutes, offensive rating, possessions, shots, field goal percentage, true shooting percentage, offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding, blocks, fouls drawn, free throw rate, and the shooting numbers that I already said.
You get him in foul trouble.
Yeah. But he
Doesn't foul.
doesn't foul much. He's not in the top 20 in least fouls, but about 4 fouls called against him per 40 minutes. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good number. I don't know what Missouri does with him. If Tillman plays, Perry is versatile enough that I guess you probably have to try to stick Mitchell Smith or Kobe Brown on him. You're going to be playing your 4 guy against him most of the time on defense, I think, because he's quick enough and he plays well enough on the perimeter that you're going to have a quicker guy out there.
I would say just put Drew Smith on him, but because they're just not the same position really, but Drew Smith shuts guys down sometimes, so
that would definitely be a challenge.
That would be interesting.
I'd say just keep throwing people at him until something works for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just keep switch it, try anything. I don't know. Oh man, he's got me stressed out. It's not even game day.
Tell, yeah.
Gosh, what are they gonna do?
Yeah. Does Kim Palm track amount of total dribbles in a game?
Total dribbles? They do not. Okay. He does not.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't be top 20 in that.
No.
I'm just trying to find something, that we have against him, some dirt on him.
He's just a sophomore. You think he goes to the NBA after this season?
Maybe, yeah. He can shoot too, so it's possible.
NBA likes that. Mm-hmm. Well, you think I don't know, maybe if they can just try to limit his touches in any kind of way. Mississippi State's guards aren't the best. I think Robert Woodard is a guy that I think is kind of under the radar. He plays a ton of minutes for Mississippi State, but doesn't really shoot the ball that much. He needs to shoot more. He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the conference, but
I think you said that last time we talked about this team. It was he shoots a high percentage, but not a high volume.
Yeah, he shoots almost 45% on 3 attempts per game. Mm-hmm. So he should be shooting the ball more. And probably not Tyson Carter, who's shooting 30% on 160 attempts.
How do you feel about this game?
Well, Missouri will be at home. Probably should be a pretty decent crowd. However, Mississippi State is in a situation right now where they play Missouri, South Carolina on the road, and then home rivalry game against Ole Miss. If they win out, they'll be at 12-6 in conference and have a really good shot at the NCAA tournament. As it stands right now, they're favored to just beat Missouri and Ole Miss. If they lose to South Carolina, I think that could be enough to keep them out of the tournament. They did recently lose to Texas A&M, which is a bad loss. I think Mississippi State's going to be really focused, and I think they'll win by 8.
I'm going to pull a you, Cameron.
Oh, let's hear it.
Missouri's going to win this game.
Okay, tell me why.
Biggest reason, they're at home. That seems to be a massive factor in college basketball for some reason. I think that Jeremiah Tillman is going to come back and play 20 minutes in this game. He's going to keep the fouls in check, and he's also going to, for about as good as he can, keep Reggie Perry in check as well. That now nobody can really keep him in check, but minimize him as much as possible. And I think Mississippi State will struggle to shoot the ball. I know they've got Weatherspoon. He's a decent shooter.
He'll be looking to get to the rim, though.
They've got guys that can shoot, but I think they're going to struggle. I think Missouri's going to win a close one, 71-69.
That'd be nice.
It's a little revenge game, man. Got embarrassed on the road about a month ago. Gonna come back and get revenge.
Yeah, I really hope you're right, but how did a team that's 128th on defense hold Missouri to 45 points.
Just one of those weird, like, middle of the week games on the road. I don't know, like kind of a long way from home. I don't know. Sometimes, like, I feel like as a player, it would be hard to get up for some of those, like, midweek games on the road.
KenPom says Mississippi State by 1. 69 to 68. So, I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but
Hope you're here too.
I just feel like this is one that Missouri will let get away. Moving on, but going back to Mississippi, Missouri will play at Ole Miss. And Mizzou just beat Ole Miss in Columbia 71-68. That's almost your score prediction for the Mississippi State game.
Wow.
That was just a week, 10 days ago or so, on February 18th. Since then, Ole Miss lost to Alabama and Auburn, but they play Vanderbilt on Saturday, so you kind of assume that they will win that. They currently sit at 13-15, 4-11 in conference, 96th in KenPom, so a little bit better than Missouri. And for them, it all comes down to Breein Tyree. Can he do enough to overcome not having any help whatsoever on offense?
Honestly, I think yes, in this game against Missouri. I think it's just his ability to score is unreal. I think he's going to be too much in this game at home against Mizzou. Personally, I think Ole Miss wins this game by 7 or 8 points. I think this is obviously I just predict the score of both games, but I really think this is a tougher game than Mississippi State is.
Man, I'm gonna have a hard disagreement with you there, Kyle. I think even if Ole Miss beats Missouri, now I predicted Missouri. I predicted Mississippi State by 8 in Columbia. I can see them being up by 6 to 12 the entire second half. I think it'll just kind of stay there. I really think Mizzou can kind of play the same game they played at home against Ole Miss and keep it really close right to the end. I don't know. Mississippi State just... Maybe it's just psychological for me that I just feel like they have Mizzou's number, but...
It does seem like they have Mizzou's number. I mean, the whole time we've been in the SEC, it seems like we don't play well against Mississippi State. Even... remember that game that Kevin Puryear hit the three?
Yeah.
I mean, even the times when we've won, it seems like improbable.
Oh yeah. I'm looking at Breein Tyree's recent games. The last time he scored single digits was 9 points on the road at LSU February 1st. Since then, he has not gone under 16 points. They just played Auburn. He had 16 in that one. Was 2 of 7 from 3, 1 of 12 from 2. And I think just because they don't have anybody else that looks like they're willing to step up, I think Missouri has enough perimeter defense to slow them down.
I mean, that's truly a situation where you just put Drew on him and hope for the best.
Yeah. But I think with Mark Smith back, we know he's a good perimeter defender. I think Torrance Watson has made big strides in his on-ball defense recently. He still can't make a shot, but
true.
I don't know. I think they'll be able to manage Tyree a little bit, even though even though Ole Miss will be at home. I'm gonna say Mizzou 68. You know what? I'm gonna say Mizzou 77 to 74 in overtime.
That sounds thrilling.
Oh yeah.
I like to be right, but I'd be happy to be wrong on that one. I say that a lot.
When was the last time that we picked 2 games and disagreed on both of them?
I don't know. We usually don't disagree on much.
I know. Man, these Mississippi schools just got us.
Yeah, got us all frazzled, man.
They're in our heads, I guess.
We need to have a little disagreement sometime. It's good for us.
We don't know. Yeah. We don't know what to do with these guys. Well, I just turned my page over and it's empty.
I know.
Is that all we have to
Except
talk about today?
Except for my little speech.
Your
at the
outro?
end, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have to look at that because I've got it memorized. But
That's true. It's not like we've done this 78 times or anything.
yeah.
It's kind of interesting. This camera, I got to see the other side of my face today.
Oh, that's true.
So I hope that you guys have enjoyed seeing the other side. You've now seen my entire face at different times, but still gotten acquainted with both sides. For those of you not on YouTube, sorry.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, what are you doing? I mean, we're some nice looking gentlemen, and we need you to get on YouTube and give us a little subscription.
Yeah, we need your support there.
Yeah, but I think that's all I have for the folks today, Cameron.
I think so.
All right, okay. I have to read it. I'll get it down one day, but you can find us on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. We're on Twitter at Mizzou Sports Pod, and you can email us at MissouriSportsPodcast@gmail.com.
Is that what it really is?
MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com. Is that what I said?
You said podcast.
Oh, no.
So many people are going to email us, and their email's going to bounce back undeliverable.
Bounce backs, yeah.
Wow.
Sorry about that, everybody.
And you can find me on Twitter at C_Albert08. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will see you next
I
week.
can't even read. I'm looking at the paper. I can't even say it right.